but I wasn't able to do one of the requirements, which was network with somebody, network with two people. I
Yeah.
was unable to do that because I left.
Okay. So talk about what you observed and your reflection on it.
Okay, I'll get that in tonight then. I
All
was just
right, that
wondering.
sounds good. Today is April 22nd, and we're looking at chapter 2. I want to grab the door, but I think we'll close it now. Okay, so what I want to do first is kind of take a quick look at the calendar, just a little check-in. So tell me if you can see the calendar here. Are you able to see it?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so we are here April 22nd. And we have finished chapter 1 homework, chapter 1 quiz, chapter 2 homework, and chapter 2 quiz is due tonight. Okay. And we've had our first business leadership community extra credit, which was last Tuesday. It says due date, I'm sorry, last Thursday, the networking event. If you attended and you want to submit an essay, it's due 1 week later than the event, and just answer the question, just a short essay telling me what you saw and your reflection on it. All right. We are now taking signups for the BLC etiquette lunch down at Renton Technical College. I'm going to show you that poster real quick. And that is with our same speaker, Monica. She does this for us every year. She does a networking event and then an etiquette lunch. And it's the cost is $10. The business club and your student fees cover the rest of the cost. The lunch is actually more than that, including the speaker. So you go down there, 3-course meal served in different courses, and she talks you through how to manage a business lunch. And it's a great event because it's pretty awkward your first time you go out with for a business meeting and you're eating. It's just, I can't, I can't overemphasize how awkward it can be. Suddenly you forget all your manners. And so she helps you through that process. All right. If you choose to go, here's the QR code, sign up, get your name on. There is limited space. Okay. So going back to the calendar, we're going to do so we're going to talk, a question that keeps coming up with this chapter is students are always asking, how do I put the order, right? So if I'm building a balance sheet, and in chapter 2, you're going to build a balance sheet. And the question is, what do I use for order? Okay. How do I get things in the right order? So we're going to talk about that today. And looking at the rest of the week, we have your Monopoly will be due next a week from yesterday. So you want to start picking that up. Plan 3 to 4 hours on Monopoly. Okay. You just need to be really aware that that does take time. I'm going to go to that assignment real quick and show you that. There is a short video. It's not that short, but it kind of walks you through the assignment. You're going to be downloading an Excel spreadsheet. And on that spreadsheet, there's going to be a link and you play Monopoly online. Okay. So you want to be able to do that. And you might want to go out to that website and just kind of practice a little bit before you start playing for the assignment, just so you know how it works. Okay. So watch the video, download the assignment. There's a 13-minute video. There's another longer video. So either one that works for you, but make sure you look over the assignments. And these are your due dates. Your first draft completed is April 28th. Then you'll do peer evals. You'll come back to the same assignment. And on the right side of your page, you'll see your peer assigned. And then you'll do a peer eval due April 30th. And then if you want to make final corrections, unless they thought your paper was perfect, you can upload your final corrections, and I will only grade the final version. I'll look back and see how much you completed on the first draft. It has to be completed, but I'll do the final grade on the final draft. Okay. So you'll see when you come back in, your peer will be assigned there. All right, let's go back. So those are kind of the big upcoming events. So sign up for the etiquette lunch if you'd like to go, and it's a great experience. And then we're going to do Monopoly. College is closed next Tuesday. Your peer will be due here, and then your quiz here. And then The following week will be our first proctored exam. So we'll have, the way I set it up is the account ID quiz, the practice homework that's due the night before the exam, and then you'll come to campus and there's some instructions on how to find the room. And the room is under people and groups. Okay. All right. And then here's all the instructions. Okay. So let's go look at the classified balance sheet. Roland, can you see the classified balance sheet on your screen?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. Okay. So I get a lot of questions about order. And I know this is on the videos, but it does seem to get confusing for people. So I want to make sure you understand. So let's see, I want this. I don't want this. No, I want this. And I want this. Just really wants to do that. Now, when you see the screen, do you just see the classified balance sheet or do you see stuff on the right-hand side?
See stuff on the right-hand side.
Okay, well, you're just stuck with it. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. So there's four major sections: current assets, long-term investments, property, plant, and equipment, and intangibles. So CLPI, okay? Long-term investments. And then under the other side of the balance sheet is liabilities, current and long-term. So much simpler than the four categories on the asset side. And then just stockholders' equity. So stockholders' equity is going to be the same for now, the way you did it in chapter 1. Okay. Okay. So let's look at some examples. So what I love to do here, I'm gonna close the screen. I want to go to chapter 2. Okay, let's go. I don't want that. No, I don't want that. I want this. Okay. I'm going to keep checking in with you guys. Do you see course resources here or do you still see PowerPoint?
Course resources.
Perfect. Okay. So just as a reminder, this box is your textbook. It's just a digital textbook. The stuff down below is sort of practice stuff. So let's launch the textbook. Let's open up the table of contents and let's go down to chapter 2, open it up. And I want you to know that there's some great sections here, review and practice, and throughout the chapter that you should be using as a resource where you have a practice problem and a solution. So it's super helpful. But for today, we're looking at classified balance sheet. And I'm going to close the table of contents. Okay. If you have access to a printer or if you can make a print screen of this, this is a wonderful tool to help you with the balance sheet. And I can't get it all on my screen, so I'm going to go section by section. But if you can make a picture of this, this will help you study and it'll help you get your homework done. And of course, you need to know how to prepare a classified balance sheet for your midterm and your final exam. So the income statement and the classified balance sheet. And by the way, the income statement and balance sheet we learned in chapter 1 were just very simple. And in chapter 2, classified balance sheet, that's how we do it from here on out. In chapter 5, we're going to learn how to do a multi-step income statement, and that's how we do it from there on out. So for right now, here's the balance sheet. I'm going to make it bigger because it's a video. I find these pretty helpful. Okay, so cash is always, what is the order of current assets? They are in liquidity order. Liquidity order means how fast they can turn into cash or be consumed. Okay, so we start with cash. That's the most liquid asset. So obviously that goes first. Now, the rest of this stuff, you just have to learn. So typically, companies don't have stock investments or debt investments in this category. But there is a possibility that they would have, and they have to be super, super short-term marketable securities. So that's another word for this. So what this means is I'm PACCAR company, and I have so much cash, I buy stock in Microsoft. but I'm ready to turn it into cash the minute I need extra money. So it's by definition, I have defined it as short term. And in your homework problems, they have to tell you, if they give you a list of accounts, they have to tell you if it's short term. If they don't tell you, it goes down here in long-term investments. And when you see that word investment, you have to ask, is it short term? Then it's a current asset. If it's not listed as short term, it goes under long-term investments. Okay. So investments can be stock investments or debt investments. Somebody like PACCAR can loan Microsoft money, can loan Walmart money, and that's called a bond investment. We'll talk about that farther down. But for now, if you see the word investment, it's an asset. Even though it has that word debt in front, or it has that word stock in front, it's not the company's debt, it's another company's debt. It's not the company's stock, it's another company's stock. Okay, so debt investment, stock investment, short-term marketable securities, those are things that companies put their excess cash in, and they will sell them in a heartbeat if they need money, and that is why they go second. Next is accounts receivable. Typically, accounts receivable, we expect to collect. This is money our customers owe us. We expect to collect that in 30 or 60 days, and so that's the next most liquid asset. Notes receivable, typically it's more like 90 days, a little bit longer, so it goes after. Inventory, would love to say we only carry inventory for a short period of time, but often it's more like 120 days. So it goes farther down. And supplies are different than inventory. The definition of inventory is something we buy with the intent to resell. So Walmart buys big quantities of paper towels from the paper towel manufacturer with the intent to resell it. Okay. Another company might buy paper towels to put in their restrooms, their bathrooms. In that case, it's not being resold. In that case, it's a supply. So inventory is something we have with the intent of selling. Supplies we use up inside the company. Prepaid insurance or prepaid rent would go here. That's where you pay rent in advance. Like if you go into an apartment, you have to pay your first month's rent, but often you have to prepay your last month's rent. Okay. All right. So does that help a little bit? Is there any other category you can think of? Anybody can think of another category that they're working with in the homework? Let's take a look here. Hi, Cedra. We're just looking at classified balance sheet and order of accounts, all of that. Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's see if there's another category. Let's see. Inventory. Oh, okay, I don't see any right now. Okay. All right, so let's go on. Now we've got long-term investments, and that would be stock investment, debt investment, that's long-term. And another one could be land held for investment or investment in real estate. Real estate is another phrase that just means land. That's all it is. I don't even know the origin of the words real estate. Now, companies have land that they use. They have maybe a factory on the land. This is not that kind of land. This is land that they bought, but they're not using. It's just an investment. Okay, so we have to be, so you can see when I use the term, you buy something, it depends on the intent, whether it's inventory or supplies. The same is true for land. All right, next category. The most common categories are current assets and property, plant, and equipment. So when you're building a balance sheet, you put the category here, and then we just list the individual accounts here. And then we put a little subtotal. You don't have to indent here. You can put it all in one column, but add the subtotal. Okay. Long-term investments. And now we go to property, which means land, plant, which means building, and equipment. Okay, so we say plant, it's an old-fashioned term. It means the manufacturing building, but a lot of companies don't manufacture anymore. So it's land, building, and equipment. So here we have land and equipment. The company has no building. I don't know how they do that. That doesn't make sense if they have equipment. I guess they rent. I guess they rent their buildings. Okay. Intangible assets are things like patents, trademarks, goodwill, copyrights, and they go in here. And the order isn't that critical except for current assets and property, plant, and equipment. We list land first, buildings next, equipment next. Okay. And that the title tells you what the order is. Okay. All right. Any questions about assets? Okay. I want to make sure you guys are good on that. All right. Now, current liabilities. Sigh. I get this question every quarter. Do you put accounts payable first or notes payable? In this example, they've listed notes payable first. So I think that's what this textbook wants. So something that accounts payable typically is due 30 to 60 days. So in this case, they're saying the note is due sooner than 30 to 60 days. Okay. There's a new account here, unearned sales revenue. I know this has the word revenue in it, but the word unearned is critical, and that makes it a liability. Okay, so let's talk about what that could be. Let's say you have plans for the summer and you already bought your ticket to go see to Taiwan or to Hawaii. All right, you paid the money. So I don't know who flies to Taiwan, maybe Alaska Airlines. So Alaska Airlines says, oh, cash went up, you bought a ticket, but we can't call it a sale because we haven't earned it yet. We still owe you the trip. So they book it to this account, unearned sales revenue. Later on, after your trip is over, they'll make an adjustment, take it out of unearned revenue, and then they'll call it a sale. But for right now, it means the company owes service or product to somebody. You see this a lot in travel industry. You see it where you maybe you're getting married and you hire a caterer and the caterer says, I'm going to do all your food, but you have to give me $2,000 in advance. She hasn't earned the service yet, but it's her way of saying, I want to make sure you're going to get married and not cancel. Or at least I get 2,000. Salary and wages payable, that means your employees have worked, we owe them money, but we haven't paid it yet because it's not payday. And then any interest the company owes. Okay. So the critical thing here in terms of order is notes payable, then accounts payable, and then just kind of do the rest. When you go and work for a company, they're going to have their own order, but typically accounts payable, notes payable is always first. Okay, long-term liabilities. Again, that's money that's due after a year. Okay, so you can see I've got notes payable in both of these slots. This is due less than a year. This part of the note is due more than a year, or it could be a different note, more than 1 year. Mortgage payable is when you owe money for, typically you buy a piece of property, a house, and you put down 30% and you owe 70%. And so over the next 10 or 15 or 30 years, you pay it off. And this is the balance that the company owes. Okay. And then down here, stockholders' equity, common stock, and retained earnings. Okay, let's see if we have any long-term liabilities here. I don't see any long ones. Mortgage payable. Oh, all right. And then here's a homework problem. You're doing a balance sheet as of December 31st, 2022, and you have a note receivable due in 23. That would be a current asset because it's due in less than a year. The customer or the payment is due in less than a year. Okay. All right. That's my insight on balance sheet. Any other questions on the balance sheet that you guys have? But I would go to chapter 2 and print this out, take a picture of it, use it, learn it, and it really makes a difference. But it's a lot of what you're learning in this class is not mathematically hard at all. You're learning a lot about business transactions from an accounting perspective. And so there's just some things you have to know. All right, so let's look at review and practice. Okay, I'm going to go there. No, it didn't take me there. Come on, go to review and practice. Okay, here we go. So this is what I like, and I went over this last week, but it's super helpful. All right. They have a list of questions. They have sample problems up here, like they'll say practice problem, prepare financial statements, and you can do that. And then you can check your work here. So super helpful. All right. Then they have some questions, and this is good review for quizzes. And then brief exercises. Sorry, I went the wrong way. Let's go. Here we go. I want to go up a little more. Here we go. All right, review and practice. First, you have the glossary. Use this for prepping for your quiz and making sure you understand things. Practice multiple choice questions. There's 20 questions, and then below you have all the answers, and it explains it. So I love this book. I know the author, and he's just super helpful. So and explains why that's the answer. All right, then you have practice brief exercises, categorize, and it has all the answers. So use your book, calculate your ratios, practice exercises, prepare the assets section, and so forth. Of course, the practice homework is helpful too, but this way you get kind of immediate feedback on the answers. All right. Okay. So most of chapter 2 is about the classified balance sheet, really understanding that. When you come over to income statement, you're still pretty simple income statement. You may have more than one revenue category. So if you were a baseball team, we have a local team, the Mariners, you might have ticket revenue. You might have season ticket revenue. When you buy the whole seat for the season, you might have merchandise revenue. You'd list all three and then you'd total them up. And then expenses, you list all your expenses and there's no particular order. When you go work for a company, they'll tell you what the order is. When you get to chapter 5, you'll learn we always put cost of goods sold next. But we won't look at chapter 5, and we won't look at cost of goods sold again as an account until we get to chapter 5. But you'll see salary and wage expense toward the top because it tends to be a big expense, interest, income tax, and so forth, travel expense, supplies expense, on and on. Okay. And let's remember, when you have to do income statement first. You have to calculate net income. Okay. And where's my statement of retained earnings? Did they not give me one? They didn't give me one. Let's see what it says. Oh, it says retained earnings 1336.3. That was the beginning balance. Okay. See, what's the date here? No, they gave you the ending balance. So you didn't have to calculate it. I've done that. So watch the dates on retained earnings. So year ended September 31st, 2022. And whenever you see retained earnings on the list, you want to know, is it a beginning balance? Then you have to do the retained earnings statement. But in this case, it's the ending balance. So you're safe. You can just use it. And there it is. Okay. And then they start in with a regular homework question and you don't get solutions. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop the video here. Let's see. Pause.
Work, or are we going to have to do it all by hand?
So I'm going to repeat the question. So the question is about the upcoming exam. And when it comes to statements, Roland is asking how much do I give you? I give you a blank piece of paper and I give you a list of accounts and I say, give me, for example, an income statement. Give me, for example, a balance sheet or statement of retained earnings.
Okay, so it'll be basically blank and we just have to do it ourselves.
Yeah, and you'll do the format. You'll get the format right. So you'll do, the 3 lines at the top, company name, name of the statement, as of or for the year ended, depending on what statements. So for the year ended, it is for income statement and retained earnings. As of is for the balance sheet. And then if it's income statement, you'll have revenue, you'll have expenses, you'll have the subtotals, and then net income or net loss. And then for for statement of retained earnings, 4 lines, 3 header, retained earnings, company name, retained earnings for the year ended or for the month ended. And then your 4 lines, beginning balance plus net income minus dividends, ending balance. And of course, if it's net loss, you subtract it. Okay. And then your balance sheet, company name, balance sheet as of date. And then all that classification. So you want current assets, long-term investments next, C, CLPI, CLPI. I need an acronym for that.
Okay, thank you so much.
I don't know what that would be, but you get the idea. So you're
Yeah.
going to just start to finish, you're doing it. Yeah. Any other questions come to mind? Nope. I got a no in the room. All right. So I will hang out for another 10 minutes if something comes up, and I'll see you later, Jishwan. And thanks for stopping by.
And then how many more extra credit events are there? She said it's max 8.
We have a total of 5, and I usually, because alumni night is so that would be 10, right? But I cap it at 8. Alumni night, I often give double extra credit. If you can't get your goal, like if you've already missed one event, you can go for double extra credit. And
Okay.
because it's a 2-hour event. So if you interview, so the way alumni night works is if you've been to campus, do you know where the fountain is?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's all outdoors. We've been lucky with the weather, knock on wood. And we have about, I don't know, 40 to 60 alumni come and about 200 students, and you network with them, ask questions, kind of interview them, and hopefully make some good connections that help you. And then if you stay for 1 hour, it's eligible for 1 extra credit. If you stay for 2, you're eligible for 2 extra credits. And so you have to write 2 essays. So
Okay, understood. And then for the one I asked you earlier, it's fine that I just write a review, right? Because I didn't
yeah,
do
yeah,
okay.
absolutely. And Sidra, you went to networking too, so you can submit a extra credit for that. And
Yes, I will.
yeah, and Nebeyu, did I say your name right?
Yeah,
Can you say it for me?
Nebiu.
Nebeyu. Okay, got
Yeah.
it. All right. Yeah, so you guys are a good class this quarter. Everybody's asking lots of questions, so I love that. And the thing about this class is just really staying on top of your deadlines and not get behind. Once we get done with chapter 2, it's kind of the same rhythm, same routine that we do. You have the videos, you come to office hours, ask any questions. You don't need an appointment, just come. And then if it's Tuesday, I'll try to do it, I'll try to go over the material for the week, or if people want a recording on Monday, I can do that too. So yeah, just please come and get involved. If you're not part of clubs or anything, join the BLC, come to our events, join other clubs if other clubs are interesting to you. but it's really good to make those connections while you're here on campus. So, all right.
Okay,
What
one
else?
last question.
Yeah, there's
For
no
the
limit.
for the exam, we don't get any built cards, right? It's
No.
just okay.
And I bring calculators if you don't have them. Um, and let's go look. Where's our exams this quarter? Let's go look. They moved us around because the school's being remodeled. So you're like, oh, how about we get the right class? Um, I want to say it's in the B building. Yeah, B114. So,
Okay.
and,
And any any advice on how to do well on it?
yeah, I do. So the exam, so chapter 1 and chapter 2, almost done. Really study chapter 3 before you start Monopoly, because chapter 3 we get into journal entries, and that is a new concept for a lot of us. Certainly was for me the first time I learned it. And we start to look at transactions as always affecting at least two accounts. So in the example I gave, Alaska Airlines sells a ticket, and let's say they sell a ticket on the same day that the plane flies. They would increase cash and increase ticket sales, a revenue account, sales revenue, okay, or service revenue, okay. And we learn how we use something called double entry accounting, and we track journal entries. Everything has a record, everything has an audit trail. And we use that to build activity within accounts. And then we say, what was the total activity? What's the ending balance in cash? And that becomes how we build the balance sheet, the income statement, and so forth. So you guys have already learned about 20 accounts just from working with income statement, retained earnings, and balance sheet. And what I would say, for every account you learn, make a flashcard, put cash or whatever they put the account title on one side, and leave some room on the other side. You put the account title, leave some room on the other side. But for right now, he'll drill on where those assets go. So here's cash. It's an asset. And what category? It's a current asset. Okay. And we're going to add more stuff when we get to chapter 3. We're going to add things like debits and credits and normal balance, all of that. But for right now, just start building your account list. So accounting is a language, and you guys are learning a new language. Not everybody. Some of you have done accounting before, but start really learning your accounts. And then we're just going to keep building on that. By the end of the quarter, you will have learned about 55 accounts. And we'll also have learned, let me think here now, 13, hang on, 13 plus 7 plus 25 plus, we'll have learned about 50 journal entries. And so a lot of this is memorization, but it's also knowing what things mean. And so as you learn the accounts, you're going to learn a little bit more about business transactions. Okay.
Okay.
All
And then
right.
is there any MCQs or no?
Are there any what's?
MCQ, multiple choice questions.
No.
So it's just accounting. As long as we
Multiple
understand the
choice is
accounts.
limited to the quizzes.
Okay. Okay.
So it's all short answer. The exam is typically 13, 14 pages. So,
Okay. Thank you so much.
all right, you take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Have a great day.
You too. And then Cedra and Nebiu, do you have any more questions?
For the quiz, so just review the multiple choice and then go over the vocab, and then we should be fine.
I think so. Yeah. Sometimes there's a short problem in there, know how to do the current ratio, that kind of stuff. That's at the end of the chapter, but mostly it's just theory.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's take a look. Let me take a quick look at the quiz. Look at it. Did you look at that list of what to study for the quiz?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be a question from those categories. So let's see. Yeah, classified balance sheets, vocab, understand current ratio, debt to asset ratio, EPS, that kind of thing. So know those ratios.
Okay.
All righty. All right.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Nebiu.
Is it possible to use my notes on the quiz, or is it closed book?
The quiz is closed. If you bring a piece of scratch paper or your own calculator, just hold it up to the camera so you can see it's blank.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Right. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
See you later.
All right. Bye.
See
Bye-bye
you.
now.
Bye
Take care.
bye.